All right, hello everybody, and welcome to a gun review probably like none you've ever seen. So what makes this gun review so much different? Well, it's going to be a long one, so if you're only interested in 45-second gun reviews that tell you what you want to hear about the gun that you're looking up, move along. But if you're interested in a super deep dive of the Glock G44, we're gonna run about, I think I have about 10 or 12 different types of ammo. I have half a dozen or more different holsters we're gonna talk about and try, and get some of my thoughts on the firearm, and of course tackle some of the complaints and things that are said on the internet, especially the things that were said upon the release of the G44, the announcement of the G44, because the internet went to fire. Like, I've never seen so many adult children complain about stuff in my life. Alright, so this is one of the few range day vlogs I've ever done on just a single firearm or a single thing. Like all of them that I've done before, I've packed up multiple things, and I either had guns to try out, magazines to try out, some behind the scenes stuff of, some of the T&E stuff that I do. If I tell you, hey, I've run 500 rounds through this gun so far, well, on the range vlogs that you guys see most of those rounds being run, not in the actual review video. So that's what we're doing today, is a range vlog specifically on the G44. I mean, this is the emptiest my truck has been. I have my tripods, camera stuff, a couple belts, a bag full of ammo and holsters, the gun itself, and a couple things to drink and a snack. So we're gonna make a day of it. So where you live, do you do U-turns? Are U-turns legal where you live? Just out of curiosity, since we're on the road today, I'm currently making a U-turn. That is spilling everything. Well, that wasn't as bad as I thought. But U-turns are legal here, and it's almost a necessity the way they have these stupid roads laid out. Like, you have to make U-turns to get places. I just didn't know. Comment below. If you have to make U-turns, what do you think of them? I think they're ridiculous. I think just the pass-throughs of the median is good enough. Let's get some gas, hit the road. I don't care how good the gas prices get, it still just feels like literally pouring money down the toilet. But I think we are at $2.41 a gallon right now. All right. Anytime it starts up is a good day. This is a really screwy parking lot. It can only handle one vehicle moving at a time. And so, like, this guy is behind me. Saw him right there? He had to back out of the parking spot at the building, pull up next to me, between the other pump, me and my pump, right? And he couldn't pull out until I pulled out. Yeah, pretty screwy setup. But we are on the road and going to a different place today than normal. The place that I've always taken people to train people, the public lands. Well, it's one of the places that I always take people to train people, which is always a place where I also shoot a lot of videos, has recently been purchased by a tactical training company. and they are currently building a shoot house on it. What he called it a shoot village. Looks pretty cool. So far, I talked to him last weekend because I had my militia group out in that same area over the weekend, and we use that same spot where I record from, same spot where I train from, train people at, and we also use that as base camp because it's only a handful of miles off of some pretty busy illegal trafficking routes. And so we use that as base camp to go back to. We'll be out for a few hours, go back, get something to eat, get some rest, go back out for a few hours, and so on. And so we were out this past weekend, and I noticed a lot of activity going there. Talked to them, and sure enough, that's what happened. So far, pretty good rapport with the people, and I may or may not be able to use that for Southern Arizona Tactical. But it looks like they got some really good plans for that place. But unfortunately, that also means that while they're doing construction and things like that, I'm not going to be using the area, even though he said I could. I just don't want to be that guy that's possibly in the way, right? So we're going to a different spot today. So let's do a road montage with some music, shall we? And get this going. So this is a place that I've been to before. Shoots into a mountain, and it's public land. Lots of trash. But let's get this thing started. All right, so to start things off, let's talk real quick about what ammo I brought. I have 100 rounds of CCI mini mag. They are 22 long rifle, 40 grain, 1235 feet per second. I have 100 rounds of Winchester 22 long rifle, 1435 feet per second, 40 grain. These are also look like a copper jacketed or copper wash, like the mini mags. Some CCI standard velocity, another 100 rounds, 10,070 feet per second, 40 grain. Some Norma Match 22 Elite Match Grade Long Rifle, 50 of them. They are 40 grain, 1,100 feet per second. Federal American Eagle 22 long rifle, 45 grain, subsonics, 970 feet per second, 50 of them. So we're gonna try some. I got a couple different subsonics that we're going to try. Browning Performance Rimfire Fragmenting Bullet, 22 long rifle, 37 grain. And what is the feet per second? It does not say. It does not say, but it's Browning, 37 grain. Okay. Some Aguila, whatever it is, 22 subsonic solid point, 40 grain. This also doesn't show the feet per second. Some Aguila 22 super extra 40 grain, 1255 feet per second. Yeah, it doesn't show it. Some 22 long rifle copper 22. So these are all copper CCI 22 long rifle. They're 21 grain small game, 1850 feet per second. I already ran 200 rounds of the Remington 22 long rifle golden bullet, which is a 40 grain, 1265 feet per second. I've already run 200 rounds of this through it, and I think I went through everything. Last but not least, I'm going to try some of the CCI shot shell stuff. Shot shell stuff being these rounds that are a 22 long rifle, but they have little tiny pellets, and they're little plastic bullets. They're little plastic projectiles. So we're going to try these. These are 1,150 feet per second, or sorry, 1,000 feet per second, 31 grain test control. All right, so hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad for you. I have you in the bed of my truck because, as usual, out here in Arizona, God hates YouTubers. And as soon as the camera gets set up, it gets windy as shit. So here it is, the G44 22 long rifle in all of its debated glory. Now, some of you may know that I've already had a couple problems with this. Cycling some CCI ammo that I picked up. But let's get some rounds through this right off the bat. The magazine has a little finger helper thing on it. And let's go with the, the copper 21 grain small game, 1,850 feet per second, 22 long rifle, the CCI copper. So what I'm going to do is, so that this video isn't like 3 hours long, if it makes it through the first 2 mags of an ammo, then I will stop the recording there and just finish those out. Just finish those out off camera. So here is the round. Oh, these are interesting little buggers. Got sort of a hollow point to them. Now, one thing about these magazines that you may or may not already know is that they nosedive. The rounds tend to nosedive. Glock dropped the ball on that, and the rounds, see that? See how the round is tilted down? And now it is up. That's where it needs to be. So let's load up the next bag. And they just go in like so. Pull that down. Stack in there real nicely. See? It nose down a little bit. There. Okay. Where's my on switch? I don't know what happened there. Lost my mind for a second. So the target is right here at, I don't know, 5 yards away from me, 10 yards, 7 yards away. And we're gonna, this is all about function and less about distance shooting or
Durability. I'm not gonna. I may get this thing a little dirty, but it's really just a trainer, so I'm not gonna rely my life on it. So I'm not gonna put it through the same exact test that I would something that I may rely my life on. Chambered all right. This is again, the copper 22 long rifle, 1850 feet per second, 21 grain. Headshots. Or not. Okay. And it locked open. So the first one had a problem. Second one, chambered. Headshots all day, and it locked open. I'm gonna give this one this round a redemption magazine, because that could have been that first round. So what I know of 22 pistols is that not only are they ammo finicky, generally speaking ammo finicky, but that they are also first and second round finicky. If you can get the first and second round through a magazine, then the rest of the mag's likely going to go okay, as long as there's barring any other incidents. So I'm going to try this. Got another 10. This is the redemption mag. Okay, failed to lock the slide back, and it nosedived a little bit. I don't know if you saw it right there. It nosedived a little bit into the feed ramp, and then chambered itself when I went like this to look at it. So it seems like while the 22 long rifle 1850 grain 21 grain, or 1850 feet per second 21 grain is cycling, there are some feeding issues. So let me go through the rest of these and we'll come back. All right, so just ended those copper 22s, and I had one more failure to feed that resolved itself, just kind of like a slow feed or something. So that's that. I'm gonna go to the Norma. 50 rounds of Norma Match 22, 40 grain lead round nose, target velocity 1100 feet per second. So I've never shot anything from Norma before, so this will be a first, and they appear to be much like any other lead 22. Load up a mag of these. All right, 2 mags loaded. Let's get you back out here where you can see what's going on. And as you can see, you can probably see from where you're at, it's really accurate shooter. It's a super accurate shooter. I mean, I've been headshots, that's 50 rounds of headshots all basically in the same place. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the right shoulder, because I kind of want to separate these as well as much as possible for accuracy of the round as well. So I do not have one in there yet. Okay, that spit out a good round. All right, so let me put this round back in. Doesn't look good for the Norma. All right, that locked the slide back. Number 2. Stovepipe. Stovepipe. Stovepipe.
And that was the last round. Boy, that does not bode well for the Norma rounds. And these are match 22, 50 rimfire cartridges, 22 long rifle, 40 grain, lead round nose. Okay, so let me continue doing this. That is, I lost count. What is that, 6 or 8 stovepipes in 20 rounds. There's that. And I'm smacking it against my hand because that last round, or I guess it'd be the first round of the mag, as you're shooting it, that last round nosedives with the Norma as well. All right, let's go with 2 more mags of Norma. You may get to see all 50 rounds because of all the malfunctions. All right, that one ran. That one ran. So that's 2 bad mags. I mean, when you have that many stovepipes in one mag, that's 2 bad ones, and let's call it 2 good ones. I mean, Norma already has a strike. I mean, I would not suggest this ammo for this gun. Last 10. I gotta say, 3 out of 5 mags ran good, but those 2 mags that did not run good is enough for me to say Norma has a strike. All right, next one we're going with is the 22 Super Extra 40 grain Aguila. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't speak the language. 1,255 feet per second, 22 long rifle right there. Copper jacketed. Looks much like a CCI would or something like that. 50, oops, get out of there. 50 rounds of this. Let's load these up. All right, first 20 rounds of the Aguila 22 Super Extra 22 long rifle, 1,255 feet per second, copper. Can you guys see everything? Oh, I guess you can't. Let me move you over here. And I'm gonna go for upper center chest with these. These run good. These run good. I can already tell you that. Absolutely. These run nice. I can feel it in the recoil. I can feel it just, you know, if you're a shooter, you know your gun, you know guns. This one runs really good. Another 10. And then I'll do, as long as this 10 goes all right, I'll do the last 20 off camera. Nice. These are definitely a winner so far. All right, so we just finished the last 20 rounds of the Aguila 22 Super Extra. These things ran great, absolute. These are good to go. So right now we have the CCI copper 21 grain are good to go. There was, I think, they ran good enough. They ran, they for being a trainer gun,
and I keep having to tell myself this, for being a trainer gun, they ran good enough, but these 22 Super Extras ran phenomenally. So I'm going to put these two in the win column, and the Norma in the hell no column. Next, Browning. Browning Performance Rimfire Fragmenting Bullet, 37 grain. It does not give me a feet per second on here, so I don't know what that is. Made in USA, Browning ammo, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's awfully nice of them, but this is what it is. Get out of there. Good package. They appear to be, they're hollow points. Looks like they have a copper wash on them. Sorry, I can't without dumping them. Let's load up a couple of mags of this stuff. 20, what is that, 37 grain? 37 grain. So far it ran a 40 grain well and a 21 grain pretty well. It did not run another 40 grain well. So this brings me to the point where people say, but 22 Plinkster said it won't run 36 grain, but it will run 40 grain. I don't care what he said. I got nothing against the guy, but his experiences don't necessarily mean that will match my experiences, or anybody else's for that matter. And I'm actually quite tired of hearing about what 22 Plinkster had to say about this gun. I like his channel. I watch him all the time. But again, his experiences with this obviously differ from mine, because that 40 grain ammo wouldn't run. All right, Browning, 37 grain, fragmenting rounds. Oh, and so far, CCI up at the head has been the most accurate, and then I would say Norma was the second most accurate, and then the Norma and the Aguila 22, what is it called, Super Extra, have about the same pattern, but that CCI was definitely the most accurate. Going for the right shoulder. So that one, it failed, it ejected the case, but it's failing to feed the second round. Which is what I was saying earlier, that 22s are finicky on that first and second round. That must have been a light primer strike. Let me see. It did strike the primer. Reload it. Okay, not bad for a 22, not bad for a rimfire. So far we had one light primer strike. Good. I didn't even care about accuracy with that one. That one ran well. Let's try one more mag. And then I'll shoot the rest off camera, unless this mag is full of problems. If this mag is full of problems, you'll get to see all 50. I think that's fair. I'd rather show more problems than the good things, honestly. Just so you know what you're getting into when you buy a gun like this. Well, as long as I don't have problems with the next 20 rounds, I'm going to call that I'm going to call this Browning stuff a win. It has a nice recoil. I don't necessarily blame it for that one failure to feed. That is not uncommon with 22s. And it did kick the brass out, so it wasn't like a light load. And 22s are prone to light primer strikes. So again, being the only one of 51, 50, going on 200 rounds, to have a light primer strike, that's not so bad. All right, had another light primer strike. Oh, actually, no, I had two. So the Browning ran well. It fed well. I mean, it had a one failure to feed. It ejected everything, but it did have 3 total light primer strikes out of a 50-round box. I don't know if that falls within the average, but I'm going to go ahead and put this for now in the good pile, just because it has, well, I mean, I guess 95% good. I mean, that's pretty good rating there. So it's run 40 grain Aguila, 21 grain CCI copper, and 37 grain Browning, all reasonably well. Let's go now to something that I have no faith it's going to run, and that's the CCI shot shell. All right, these are like varmint rounds. These are for snakes, things like that. They have very little kick, right? In fact, I'm probably not going to wear my ears with these, because I've shot these out of 22 rifles before, and I've shot these. They sell them. They sell 9mm versions. They sell 357 versions. They sell, I think they sell a version in almost every caliber, to be honest with you. 38. But they don't pack much of a punch. I didn't expect it to. All right, I'm gonna go low just so you can see what the pattern looks like on this stuff. Oh, that one didn't even cycle all the way out. All right, let's go in and look at, this is what that stuff does. Oh, this peppering. But I don't think any of them ever went through. See, look at that. All this peppering. Oh, they did go through. Like my tape job, I forgot my staple gun today. Yeah, go me. But it looks like they did go through. I'd have never guessed that. I didn't think they went through. All right, so that was, I'm not, that has nothing to do with the gun. These don't cycle real well in anything, but they're a fun little round to have around, so, and they're pretty inexpensive. I'm actually not going to shoot the rest of them. I'm going to put them back in the box, and this is not going to count for, even if it cycled it well. Yeah, I'm just not going to count this for the gun or against the gun. This cycled it exactly how I thought it was going to, and yeah. Moving on. Moving on, let's try some suppressed rounds, some suppressor rounds. And this gets me into one of the other complaints that I hear on the social media. I just sound like a really old man there. What I heard on the social media Who calls it the social media, huh? This is where assholes come along and go, okay, boomer. You know what? All those guys that say that would never actually say it to your face when they say it. So just keep that in mind. So this is suppressed 22 long rifle, 45 grain, subsonic, 970 feet per second, federal American Eagle. I don't know what it's going to do. What I can tell you is this. All the bitching that I hear about threaded barrel, I think it's just absolutely fucking dumb. I think it's stupid. Number one, the bulk of people that I hear complain about that, I ask, do you even own a suppressor? And I either get no response or a no. So that's first and foremost. And then the people that I know as individuals that complain about it, don't own suppressors either. That's first and foremost. So keep that in mind. When the internet complains about something, they're not always justified in that complaint. Remember when the 19X was hated, but now it's one of the considered to be one of the best 19s Glock put out. Yeah. Still can't keep it on the shelf. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not saying I'm not comparing this to the 19X, but just saying. Remember, the internet. But not having a threaded barrel is no big deal to me because I look at this as a trainer gun. And some people would say, well, yeah, you don't want the loud noises for the trainer. Well, you don't use the full-powered 9mm, 40, 45, 10mm as a trainer gun. You use the 22 because it's quieter. But you know what a suppressor doesn't do? It doesn't allow for you to practice from the draw, which is, in my opinion, probably one of the, as far as fundamentals go, this right here is just as important as trigger pull, just as important as sight alignment, just as important as recoil management. That ability to draw your pistol is just as important. We'll get into that in a minute with the holsters because that was a 19 holster. So I don't know who in their right mind trains people on a 22 with a heavy can sticking off of it, creating a downward force with the nose with unrealistic, even a little bit of unrealistic snap to not only the recoil but the sound itself. If you are getting taught on a suppressed 22, the guy teaching you, because it's got to be a man teaching you because he thinks the suppressor is cool. If there's somebody teaching you on a 22 suppressed and they're not teaching you for a suppressed gun, they're not teaching you shit. How's that? Internet. So, on to the subsonic or suppressor subsonic 22 long rifle, 45 grain, 970 feet per second. I'm going to go for center, our left. Wow, that is a nice group, and that shot really smoothly. This has a lot less kick than these super extras did, and even the Brownings. And they seem to be quite accurate. And they're cycling. For being a heavy bullet, they're 45 grain at 970 feet per second. And they fed. They fed well too. Let's do another mag. I'm sold on these. I'm gonna do the next two, probably the next two mags off camera, but let me actually, you know what? Let me do one without ears on. I would never suggest people shoot without ears on unless they're actually shooting suppressed. And the next part about the suppressor is that if you're shooting suppressed, stop complaining about $120 for a suppressor barrel. This is a trainer. If you want range toys, you're going to pay for them. So, I mean, it's not horrible. Not horrible without ears on. You might as well see the last one. I mean, noises at my work are louder than that. I'm not getting any ringing from my permanent tinnitus. Might as well watch the last mag too. All right, I think this is the first one, unless the Aguila had zero malfunctions, which I have to go back and look. I think this is the first one with zero malfunctions, and it is a 45 grain, 970 feet per second suppressor round from American Eagle. So big win there, big win there. And none of these are very expensive. 22 is not expensive anyway, but none of these are very expensive. So we have 4 in the win column, and 1, this Norma, in the lose column. Well, while we're on the subject of suppressors, we might as well try the subsonic Aguila, if that's how you say it. These are lead nose. 40 grain. 40 grain. Subsonic. And this does not have a whole lot of Spanish on here. All right. Let's load up a couple of mags. So far, what I have through the gun so far to this point is 1, 2, 50, 450 rounds total. Really, probably 500 plus, because I was shooting those 22 longs through it. The 22 longs, just long, not long rifle. 22 longs, don't cycle it. So I'm saying we're picking up at right around 500 at this point. No cleaning. I haven't cleaned it. I didn't clean it from the time it came out of the box. I didn't oil it. I didn't do anything to it. Of course, all these rounds still nosedive. These are subsonics as well. I'm gonna try it with the ears on first. Center. So like below the other center. Again, shoots nice and soft like you would think a subsonic would. Cycled everything, and it is a lead nose. Okay, that was a stovepipe. Another stovepipe. Did not lock the slide back. Did not lock the slide back. So, let's continue. All right, here we go. This is still the Aguila 22 subsonic solid point 40 grain lead nose. All right, it has cycling problems. Okay, the Aguila, I still have 10 rounds to go, but the Aguila 22 subsonics are probably not going to work without a suppressor. The suppressor causing a bit more back pressure, being able to cycle the slide. If you can afford a $200 suppressor, or the tax stamp and suppressor, I'm sure you can afford a $100 barrel. Let's try this now. No ears, subsonics. It's crazy. So these actually sound louder than the American Eagle subsonics, which would lead me to believe that there's like more powder, or that they're more powerful. But they don't cycle the slide very well. So that is in the lose pile. We are now 4-2 on the win-lose pile. Brings us to our 100-round packs, which is 22 CCI Mini Mag, 40 grain, Winchester, 40 grain, Hyper Velocity, and CCI Standard Velocity. Okay, I'm gonna let it cool off a little bit. It is a little warm. Starting to sound and feel kind of gritty. Good time to talk about holsters. So, this is my regular 19. And they are, let me take the light off of it. Which, by the way, for you like multi-tool guys out there, I really like this Gerber. I think it's called a multiplier. It's one of my favorite ones. Okay. Well, it looks naked. I can't remember the last time it had the light off. So this thing, outside of weight, is in every way the same as the 19, from sight picture, length, grip, width, trigger pull, everything about it. That is, now it sounds different because of the hybrid slide, which I'm going to get into here in a second. We're going to talk about holsters. So, how much the same are these like a 19? Well, to start with, here is a G19 Glock magazine. It's got a Pierce finger extension on it, empty. In the G44, it locks it back. And vice versa, in the 19, the G44 mag locks it back. So they are so much the same that I'm wagering that if I pull some of the components out, that they're actually swappable, that they're actually interchangeable, especially when it comes to like mag release and stuff like that. It's the only gun that in every way is identical, of course with the exception of caliber and weight, that in every way is the same as its larger cousin in its class. So this is the same size as all the Glock compacts, has all the same triggers, has all the same buttons, has all the same everything else, same sight pictures, and same holster fitment. Of course, the same magazine fitment for mag pouches as well, which you can see here in this. It's the only mag pouch I have with me today, but in the Spider concealment holster, you can see there is the G19 mag and the G44 mag. That's the allure, so to speak, of it being such a great trainer, is that no other company has come out with something that you don't have to say, okay, yeah, now that you've ran this Taurus, what is it, whatever that is, the TX whatever
16 round gun, fine, you teach a person on that, fundamentals, sight picture, trigger pull, all that stuff, and then they buy a G19 that has a different trigger, different sight pictures, different grip, different holster, different magazines, different everything, and of course the Taurus 22 pistol doesn't match any big brother to the Taurus, and the like Smith & Wesson has one that's close, but not quite the same, and Walther has one. Is it Walther? Yeah, Walther has one that's close, but not quite the same. Glock they're the first ones to do this. That makes them innovative, okay? For people that are like, man, they don't ever come out with anything special. They just keep on making the same thing over and over and over again. Yes, that's what you sound like in my head. Like crying, just beating on the keyboard with your Cheeto-stained nubs. And then they come out with not only something that they've never had in their repertoire before, a 22 pistol, but they come out with one that's identical to everything else they have, and it's still not innovative. So yeah, you're just a bunch of grown children. So much so, fits perfect with the Alien Gear holster. Fits perfect with my Harry's holster. I love this holster. Harry's. Harry, if you happen to see this, I need a light bearing holster, buddy. I do. I need a light bearing holster. I love your holsters, but I put lights on all my guns. I just think the way they form their holsters is almost second to none and has good retention. This is the holster I use when I need to do deep concealment on security jobs, when I am doing in-crowd security. This is the holster I use. Love this holster. Rely my life on this holster. Even Phobos. Here's a Phobos POS. Fits right in there. So much so that a little tough to get out. And I put the light on it because it does have a light rail. And Safariland. All right. Bravo concealment. This is my main outside the waistband holster that I run. And then Bravo. This is the Bravo inside the waistband light bearing holster. Right there. And it conceals just like you would think. And then of course the spider concealment appendix inside the waistband. So you can actually run this appendix rig and train your draw, your mag, your reloads, everything off of an identical pistol while not having to change holsters. Now, the mag pouch like I am carrying today, which is the Neo Mag. The Neo Mag will not work because there is no metal in this. Right? The Neo Mag has this magnet that holds on to, right, and it clips onto your pocket, and you just pull it out, and it basically keeps the mag from being buried down in your pocket, and you're trying to get down in there to do a reload. So unfortunately, I don't have. Maybe I'll put the spider concealment on and do some reloads, but it will not work with the Neo Mag. All right, so I think we're all pretty confident that the CCIs will run well. So I'm going to go ahead and do the Winchester next. So the knife I'm using today is, and it's my EDC knife, my everyday knife, is Gonzo Firebird. It's a Firebird knife made by Gonzo, G-A-N-Z-O F710, can't hardly read it, 440C. It's their knockoff of a
of a Benchmade, and Benchmade can kiss my ass. That is why I bought it. All right. Oh, damn it. Okay, these are also hollow points. Looks like they got a crimp in the middle. It's the first one I've seen like that. It has this crimp in the middle, but it's a hollow point, like a copper-plated hollow point. So let's. I think I still have the light on the G44, so I'm going to go ahead and start from concealment with this one and see how this works out. Because after all, what good is a trainer if you can't train every aspect with that gun? All right, so starting from concealment in the Bravo holster, Bravo light bearing holster, and I don't have a mag pouch to do a mag change, so I don't know if you guys can still see what I'm doing or not, but going for the center right. Those ran good. These run real good. These run nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut the camera off and just run the rest of them. All right, still running this Winchester 22 long rifle, 40 grain, 1435 feet per second, hypervelocity, hollow point copper plate, varmint and small game. I've decided to put on the Spider concealment holster so I can do a reload, and I'm not drawing from concealment obviously, but just to show the flexibility with a gun like this. Of course, running the light on it like I would normally carry. And it ran all 20 just fine. So did strapping the light do anything to the recoil? Not really. Maybe a little bit. It helped with recoil, but it's 22, so it's not like it has a whole lot of recoil to begin with. But as far as being a trainer, the ability to use similar mag pouches, the ability to use the same holsters, the same lights, and putting any reasonable instructor will tell you that continuity is the key. Running your mag in the same place for the reload all the time. Running your holster in the same place all the time. Setting your gear up the same way every time you go out. That continuity is really key to successful gunfighting. I mean, as well as obviously all the fundamentals, but continuity is also key. Continuity is where the muscle memory comes from. Okay? So being able to basically not be able to distinguish this between a Glock 19 that I normally carry makes this for, in my opinion, probably one of the most formidable training pistols on the market. Good. And I'm starting to drop the mags in the dirt, and they are running okay as well. All right, just got done with the Winchester 22 long rifle, 40 grain, the hell was it called? Hypervelocity, 1435 feet per second. I think I have shown every one on camera, like the box, that way you guys know what you're looking at. That goes in the wind pile. Hopefully you can still hear me. So, groupings are good. I actually moved the rear sight because this was all off just slightly to the left. Like I was aiming for center of the head here, I was aiming for here, you know, directly below. See how everything was just a ½ inch to the left. So I moved the sights, the rear sight on this one, and did this group of 20. So the sights are right on. Elevation was fine. I know that 22 Plinkster said his was shooting high. But again, that doesn't matter. His experiences should go into the toolbox of experiences, not that his are the only that matter. I get really tired of seeing that out of the YouTube community, that the bigger the channel, the I guess the more reliable their word is. I mean, the bigger the channel, the better they are, I guess. I don't know. I think it's stupid. So, what we have now is 22 long rifle, standard velocity CCIs. 40 grain, 1,070 feet per second. This thing has run a lot of different stuff so far, and ran it, most of it fairly well, which is going to get me now into the magazine capacity of the internet blubbering and whining. And this goes into training. If you've ever been to a shooting class, if you've ever taken any classes or any courses, oftentimes magazines are downloaded for particular drills, and sometimes they're downloaded to force reloads. Sometimes they're downloaded just because that's a common number. So like when I do classes, a lot of times most of my drills are 10 rounds or under, just because you look at a lot of the compact pistols and you look at a lot of the, because if I get 5 people in class or 10 people in class and 5 of them show up, or 3 of them show up with a subcompact, like a Glock 43. Maybe one guy has a Glock 43, another guy has a Glock 19, another guy has the SIG 365, another one has a 43X, another one has a 19X, and then go to whatever CZ I think has a 17 or 19 round. You see what I'm saying? So I just download everything to 10 because that's usually less than full capacity for everybody's gun, and you don't have people finishing drills too early compared to others. So like you got a 6-round guy, Glock 43 guy that's constantly doing reloads on a drill that doesn't need to have reloads. And so number one, from a training aspect, I have no issues with the 10-round magazines. I think it's actually smart. Number two, single stack feed, generally more reliable for rimmed casings than double stack or any other stack. I don't care about that Kel-Tec abomination quad stack thing. It's a range toy and nothing more than a range toy, and should never be considered to be a serious firearm other than a range toy. So, 10-round mags, yes. Do I think for a Glock 19 size gun, are they anemic? Absolutely. But if you put just a modicum of thought into it, you can see why they did it, and that from a training aspect, it's not that big a deal. It's sort of like putting a suppressor on a training gun. Who the fuck does that? So we are standard velocity, 22 CCIs, 22 long rifle, 1,070 feet per second, 40 grainers. Let's get some ears on.
2 mags. Let's go. I'm gonna go for around here because I know with a stick, I don't want to start hitting the stick. So I'm gonna go around here because I only have this and the standard velocity and the mini mags left. So I'm gonna go here and here for the next 2. Good. Soft, much like the suppressed rounds, so much like the suppressed ammo was. And these are actually shooting a little left compared to the Winchester. I don't know if it's just because it's a slower round or what. But that was 2 successful consecutive mags. Let's do 20 more. And assuming I don't have a problem, I will do the rest off of camera. And of course, every one, I don't know, I know you can't see me loading, but every one I have to go through and to rise that round up because it does nosedive. So I gave this thing a lot of hell in my first video and got a lot of trolls start rolling in because, I mean, the only thing more relentless than Glock trolls, and I'm a Glock guy, right? Most people would call me a Glock fanboy, even though I'm absolutely not. But I'm absolutely a Glock guy. I've said on many occasions that Glock is the only pistol I would take out of the box and put on my body, and depend my life on it without putting a single round through it. People may think that's dumb. I'm not saying I would do it regularly, but if you had to lay out all the current semi-automatic, magazine-fed, striker-fire pistols out there on the market, Glock is the only one I would put on my body and rely my life on without firing a shot through it. But with that said, Glock trolls are only beaten by Palmetto State Armory trolls. If you dare say a thing, even the slightest thing, negative about either one of their chosen ones, they're chosen companies, they're chosen firearms. It's almost a deity to them. Yeah, you are scathed and burned at the stake. So let's go with 20 more rounds of the CCI standard velocity. But I gave this thing a lot of shit in my first video, and I let the trolls get to me, and I took the video down. And shooting it more, yes, it's ammo finicky, but I don't think I'm going to have as many negative things to say about it this time as I did last time. Flawless 40, and if I run into problems, I will turn you back on. All right, so this is the last 20 of the standard velocity, CCI standard velocity. 22, 40 grain. I got to thinking about what I think it was Military Arms had posted, the exploding slide. I got to thinking about that and how many people I've seen on the internet that think that's a common problem at this point. Like that the slides explode. No, a slide exploded from what appeared to be an out-of-battery detonation. And then that brings me to the slide itself.
So the slide is not a polymer slide. I get tired of seeing people, well, what, the slide is plastic, it's polymer? No, it is metal where it needs to be. It is polymer where it doesn't matter. And that is obviously to keep the weight down because it is a direct blowback design. So the rails, everything, the rails and everything encompassing moving parts is metal with the exception of the extractor. But the striker, the rails, the plunger, the safety plunger, all that stuff is encased in metal, which you'll see in a little bit when we take it apart. So that is what I have to say about people's reaction to the polymer slide, to that one issue of the exploding gun that I saw. Maybe there's more than one, but the one that I saw, and to show that just because somebody has a big name, that automatically that means, like I said, it seems like when Mac posted that, it became gospel that all the slides on these guns explode. And he tends to overreact to stuff anyway. I like his channel, but he tends to overreact to stuff anyway. Like, he'll bring that up all the time now. Well, of course, we had that one exploding slide. You know, that's just who he is. But it doesn't seem to be the norm. It doesn't seem to be the norm, no matter how many people on the internet talk about exploding slides. All right, last ones. CCI mini mags. These are the ones, I guess people are having a lot of good luck with these. That's why I saved the CCIs for last, because everybody runs CCIs, and so the word's already out on these. But CCI mini mag, if you don't know what they are, 40 grain, 1,235 feet per second, copper plated, round nose, 100 of them. So right now what we have is the scoreboard, the Winchester Hypervelocity is what it was called. Yep, the Winchester 22 long Hypervelocity, the American Eagle suppressor 40 grain, the 22 Super Extra 40 grain from Aguila, the copper 21 grain and from CCI, and the 37 grain from Browning, all either performed flawlessly or well enough that it only had an issue or two, and they're issues that are not uncommon with the 22 to begin with. Now, with that said, and then the Norma ran like garbage. The Norma ran like garbage, and the Aguila 22 subsonic didn't run very well either. But it ran well enough that I think the extra back pressure of a suppressor would probably make it run okay. So there's that. So it seems to not be just 40 grain specific. People have tried to tell me that online. It only runs 40s. And that's why we're doing this today, to either prove that right or wrong. Again, this goes to the big channels, say something, and everybody takes it as gospel, as that is the only thing it will run. 22 mini mags. It ran about as I expected it to run. So I am far more impressed with this the second time out than I was the first time out. I can tell you that. I wish I would have never made that first video, and much less published that first video. but it is what it is. It ran, which if you are just joining us, the Remington 22 Golden Bullet, it ran great. Ran fantastic, even for a Remington product, which is kind of shocking these days. Next 20. I'm going to get real slow and try to get you really, really accurate with this. In fact, I'm going to use this right here, these top two, as my target from 7 yards. Little low, just a fuzz low. Just a fuzz low, but they're all in the same spot. That could very well be me. So that's 40 rounds. Let's do 10 more, just to show you that it does work. And then I'll run the last 10 off camera, hit one more internet crybaby thing, and no, 2 more internet crybaby things. Nice. See you in a minute. All right, last 10 of the CCI mini mags. Wrong mag. Last 10. Making ragged holes. Price, I bought this at an indoor, of course indoor. I bought this at a brick and mortar FFL here in town, here in Tucson, for $358. People are complaining about the price. I don't know what they're complaining about. Inevitably, you always hear, inevitably what you're finding online is saying, oh, it's $360? I'm going to compare that to the absolute cheapest one out there, even though it doesn't represent the average of all of them. If you average out all the 22 pistols out there that people use as trainers, that people shoot on a regular basis, and from the big names, 350 is not bad. 350, 360 is not bad. I understand it might be more in your area, but all guns will inevitably be more in your area if that's the case. So you still have nothing to complain about. I don't think the price is bad. In fact, I thought the price was really good when I first heard about it, because I really believe that any good functioning firearm is worth 350 bucks. And I've always said that Glock is a $500 gun. Always. I've always said that. I've always said the Glock is a $500 gun. So at $350, I was not unhappy with the price at a brick and mortar FFL. That was not me ordering it in at that price. That was the price that they are selling it at. And to finish up with the internet adult crybabies, that were severely let down that Glock came out with this and not a carbine. Number one, I've only heard a handful of people ever talk about the Glock coming out with a carbine. Seriously, I'm on tons of different social media, Glock groups and things like that, and unless you're talking about it in your fedora wearing, tea sipping CZ group, I don't know. I don't know where the talk for this massive talk that everybody's like, Glock let down the gun community again. Really? Because the most complaining I've heard about the carbine was after they released this. I never heard but a couple people ever talk about a carbine. And inevitably, the same people that talk about the carbine, that are complaining about the carbine, are the same people that said there's a 22 long rifle conversion kit. Why didn't Glock just go with that? Or why did Glock feel the need to come out with this when the 22 long rifle conversion kit exists? Well, dumbass, so does the Roni, and so does what, 2 other platforms that turn your Glock into either almost SBR length, like an SBR length rifle, or makes it shoulder compatible, makes you able to shoulder your pistol. Either way, do not shit where you eat, because what you're complaining about, there's also already something for that to fill that void as well. If Glock comes out with a carbine, I'm sure it'll be fine. But from a business standpoint, they filled a void that they did not have in their pistol lineup that many other companies already had. So from a business standpoint, it's a smart idea. From a training standpoint, I've made my feelings very known. And as far as the Glock carbine, quit complaining, the Roni exists. All right, so while we're letting the gun cool down before we take it apart and show you all the guts and insides and all that other stuff, let me straighten some stuff up here and talk to you about the ammo that we ran. So, according to the internet, I love according to the internet. I'm making a Glock sights video because of how many just drooling mouth breathers talk about how the Glock plastic sights break all the time and you can't use them at night and you can't use them during the day and they have a horrible sight picture, there's no target acquisition, you know, all the things the really smart guys online say. I got a video in the works for that too, because I just love it when the internet says stuff. So according to the internet, you can only run 40 grain stuff through this pistol. This is what I have found today and the other day as well. I'll include the Remington stuff. The two things that ran like crap are Norma Match Elite or Match 22 Elite Match Grade Long Rifle. This is 40 grain, 1100 feet per second, and this is lead nose stuff. I would absolutely, I don't know what's elite about it, but I would absolutely stay away from this. I've never ran Norma before, and I'll probably never will again. The Aguila 22 Subsonic Solid Point, 40 grain lead nose. Subsonics, they did not run well without, at least without a suppressor. I think they might run with a suppressor. What ran well? The American Eagle suppressor subsonic, 45 grain, 970 feet per second, ran amazingly well. I was really happy with this stuff, especially at the low recoil. My battery's getting ready to die. I'm gonna have to put you guys on the charger before I actually finish this whole video. 22 Super Extra ran great from Aguila. This Browning didn't run so great. It's the only stuff that, I mean, it made it through everything, but it had 3 light primer strikes, 3 or 4. But generally speaking, it ran really well. This is a 37 grain 22 long rifle. Remington Golden Bullet 40 grain, 1255 feet per second, ran well. The Winchester 22 long rifle hyper velocity ran fantastic. This is a 40 grain 1435. The Copper 22 from CCI, which is a 21 grain small game 22 long rifle for 1850 feet per second, ran well. It had a couple little minor feeding issues. 22 long rifle standard velocity CCIs, 1070 feet per second, ran well. And the mini mags 40 grain 1235 feet per second ran well. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, about 750 rounds total. No, 850 rounds total, with very few actual problems. That is a lot better review than I gave it the first time, the first couple hundred rounds. The accuracy is absolutely there. At this distance, the accuracy is absolutely there. I have no issues with the accuracy. Of course, each individual round had its own little placement depending on its speed and bullet weight and things like that. So let me put the camera on the charger. We'll come back, we'll get down into the gun and show you the ins and outs of it and give you my final thoughts. All right, back up to 3 bars. I'm going to give you a close-up look of the gun. Just got done with lunch. I ate lunch while I was waiting on that to happen. MRE Star will be another video that goes along with that. probably post it here in the next week if you're interested in something like that. But that is what I had for lunch while I was letting you guys charge up. So let's get you down here. Let me move some of this. Here we go. So this is what we've been running. This is the 22 long rifle G44. I don't have to tell you about how it's like a Glock 19. I've been over that exhaustively at this point. Let me give myself a little bit more room to work here. So here's some close-up of it though. It's got the front slide serrations for people that are too weak to grab a smooth slide. These are actually more aggressive than the normal G19 ones. Got very similar to Gen 5 grip, mag release, trigger, slide lock. The slide lock is ambi, and of course the mag release is ambi. You can change it. Slight flare to the mag well, and accessory rail. 3-dot sight, or 3-dot, sorry, ball in the basket sight picture, as with any other Glock, except for this one has windage and elevation adjustable rear sight. I do like that. I do like that. The slide is polymer on top. It is metal where it counts, and the barrel is not a fixed barrel. It is a blowback design. Let's take it apart. It comes apart just like any other Glock comes apart. You can see the insides here are dirty from being out here in the dirt and the dust and everything else. Some people would call that just absolutely horribly dirty. I call that almost a good start. Very reminiscent of a Glock 19, except for the locking block, which I'll show you here. I'll go ahead and do the comparison. Almost spooky similar, huh? If the light wasn't on it, you'd almost not be able to tell the difference between the two. So that, and of course this being a double spring and Gen 3's being a single spring, but you can see that nearly identical. I'll go ahead and set this down, take this apart here, just like any other Glock pistol. Here is your barrel, feed ramp, right there. Inside of the slide, as you can see here, the rails and all this stuff is metal. It is not a polymer slide. The only people that call this a polymer slide are the people that aren't actually concerned about saying correct things, about being correct. Very light, but you can see the safety plunger, striker, base plate, or back plate. Everything is very Glock-esque because it is a Glock. And then of course the recoil spring goes back together just like any other Glock is going to. And there's that. You can probably hear that clatter in the background. Just had a guy stop by, asked if it was okay for him to ride his four-wheeler out here because I was shooting. I said, yep, I'm done putting rounds down range. So it goes together just like any other Glock. Here's the 19. All right. It sounds different because of the plastic that's on the outside of the slide, but I don't have my trigger gauge with me. I think it's still packed somewhere from the move, but it is the same. It is the same 5 to 6 pound trigger pull as the Glock 19. I saw somebody say it was different, and that's not true. It isn't. It is not different. I don't remember who it was that said that, but it's in fact the same. Now, as you already seen, it of course comes with two 10-round magazines. It comes with the back straps and the back strap pin, just like any newer thing. The ATF Youth Handgun Safety Act notice. Fire kindling, other stuff in the bottom here, as well as somewhere is the bag that has the pointless lock, a brush, the keys, and this little guy here, that little guy right there. That is the rear sight tool. So, my final thoughts. Before my final thoughts, you guys probably noticed I took my overshirt off. It's like 75 degrees, almost 80 degrees now. I made this t-shirt as a test run, and if you guys like it, and think you would be in the market for that, it would be reasonably priced and I would start selling it. I've not had good luck with t-shirts in the past, as I've made, I mean, some of you guys that have been around the channel for a very long time know that I've been selling t-shirts for a very, very long time, and I've probably made less than 100 bucks out of all those years. So, this will probably be, I have it named currently the 3% operator shirt. It sounds corny, but it's all I could think of. So if you like the shirt, let me know in the reply section down below, and I may start offering it as something for sale. My final thoughts on the G44. From a business standpoint, I think it was smart. They filled a void that they did not have that other companies already had, which was a 22 in their repertoire. I think they one-upped everybody with this. At least one-upped, if not two-upped everybody with this, being identical in every way to the other compacts, and holster holster compatibility, even magazine compatibility. Not that you would ever run a G19 mag with this, but it just shows that you can run in the G19 mag pouches. So I think they've one-upped everybody with the design. I think that it was a smart move on their part, that instead of letting a 22 conversion kit and a highly unreliable 22 conversion kit on top of that. I should have said that earlier. The 22 conversion kit generally is not a very reliable thing, and I don't like how it feels. I've shot them before. I don't like how they fit on the gun or any of that. The mags don't, or at least in my, from what I've seen, the mags don't drop free, and they're unreliable. Why let that company get all the money when you have a void in your company and can fill it with a gun that is going to be a really good trainer for your other popular pistols? So, from a business standpoint, I think it's smart. Shooter, it's, man, I mean, I really gave it hell on the first video. I was really disappointed in it. But now that I've had it out for another 500 rounds, with all kinds of various ammo, I would say stick with the higher velocity 22 long rifle, but it seems to eat, I mean, it ate 21 grain, 40 grain, 37 grain. I think there was a couple other in there that it ate pretty well. It ate some subsonic stuff without suppressor. So I would actually have to change my outlook on this, and this is why I like to do 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 round reviews. This is the what I get for doing such a new review. You know, the G19 I did after 5,000 rounds. I'm getting ready to do the 10,000 round or the 19X. Sorry, I'm getting ready to do the 10,000 round review on that. The 43 I did after 2,000 rounds. I'm getting ready. I'm probably going to do a 5,000 round when that happens, which will be next year sometime. I'm getting ready to do an AK review that you guys haven't seen since 7 years ago, 8 years ago. It's got almost 30,000 rounds through it because I'm tired of all these wannabe AK companies like Palmetto State Armory thinking they're coming out with good guns, and once they start hitting 30, 40,000 rounds like real AKs, I'll start paying attention to them. But so I'm doing that review soon, and this is probably the earliest, the fastest, lowest round count review that I've done, and it's what I get. It's what I get for trying to do an early review, and it's what I bitch about. It's what I complain about with all these other people that are trying to get clicks because it's a brand new gun and they know people are looking for it, is they either do an unboxing and tell people how good of a gun it is, or they'll put 100 rounds through it and go, it works fine. I see it on the internet all the time. I've not had any problems with my gun. I put 100 rounds through it. 100 rounds means dick. And in the grand scheme of things, 750 rounds doesn't mean much more that we've done today. But at 750 rounds, it seems to eat just about anything that I put through it, with the exception of a couple. If you go off of what 22 Plinkster's video was, again, I think there was information there that's worth taking into your brain. He said he was having problems with 36 grain. So stay away from 36 grain and stay away from the Norma and Aguila, or the Aguila suppressor stuff, and the Norma Match 22. Stay away from those. Anything high velocity or super high velocity is going to treat you just fine. I know it'd be a shocker to the internet that the slide didn't explode. I did not at any point in time fear for my life while using this gun. Overall, I think that I've gone from saying I'll probably never buy another Glock again because this had such a rough time with a different type of ammo the other day. Going from saying I'll probably never buy another Glock again to this is an inside the park home run. I say inside the park because it has problems. It has issues that they could be better on. Number one, it should be like any other Glock, in my opinion, and eat everything, right? I understand 22 long rifle has issues. It's finicky, always has been, always will be. So, I understand that. I think the mags are built, I don't know what to say about the mags other than they nosedive, the bullets nosedive, so if you're not paying attention, that will catch you, and it will catch you every time if you're not paying attention. So that is a strike against this. Outside of that, I don't have any current complaints. I don't have any current complaints outside of the magazine issue with the nosediving bullet and that it doesn't eat everything. Other than that, Glock said they spent a lot of time making this thing reliable. I would say they have. Glock said they spent a lot of time making sure that it was to Glock's standard of shooting and reliability and all that other stuff, and I would say they have done so. Again, I would call it an inside the park home run. Not quite outside the park like the 19X, but I think it's a smart move on their part. I think it works well. I think it's going to make a great training tool, and I think overall, I think we're going to see other companies copying them once again. What I mean by that is other companies doing more to more closely match or copy their current pistols. Again, no other company has done so. They've come close. Glock's the only one that has actually managed to do that. And I think we're going to see other companies once again copying Glock to do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I'm done. It's been all day, several hours to this point. 750 rounds, lots of talking. I'm tired of talking. I'm sure you're tired of listening to me. I know I've caused some butthurt in this video. I know there's going to be people letting me have it down below, and I don't care. I think it's a good gun. I think overall it's a good gun. I think it has a couple little minor issues, but overall it's a good gun. If you were to ask me, should I get it? I will never say you should or shouldn't get a gun, but I would not be scared to. That's what I would say. Thanks for listening. If you think the t-shirt's all right, let me know. Might start selling that. Don't forget to check out all the affiliate links and things like that. That is down in the description of the video. And that's it. I also put a link, since I did mention these, I'll put a link to the MRE Star. Still full from that. The MRE Star lunch that I had. That's it. Another RTT range day in the books, and we'll talk to you later.